They said it would never happen. Skeptics argued that no state government in the modern world would gamble on a volatile digital coin, let alone declare it part of its strategic financial plan. Yet here we are, witnessing the Lone Star State of Texas challenge all those naysayers in the boldest fashion possible by putting faith in Bitcoin. That is right, Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency that critics have for years labeled a risky asset reserved for tech enthusiasts and speculation junkies, has just earned an official endorsement at the highest levels of Texas government. And this is not just a passing gesture or a fleeting political statement. This is legislative reality set in motion by none other than Governor Greg Abbott, with the flick of a pen that many believe could transform the landscape of financial governance in the United States. Today we dive into this remarkable story, the type of narrative that can shift economic paradigms and rattle the foundations of traditional state treasuries. Why is Texas so willing to embrace a digital coin once relegated to the fringes? And what ripple effects could reverberate from this move across the entire country? In this scenario, we are not just talking about some minor legislative tweak. We are talking about a moment that could redefine what it means for a government to invest its resources. In this episode, we will explore how Governor Abbott's decision might impact Texas's financial future, what the new law entails, and how it all connects to a broader wave of cryptocurrency acceptance, both in the United States and possibly around the world. We will look at how a single bill, Senate Bill 21, stands to open the door for a fully fledged Bitcoin reserve that might just go toe-to-toe with traditional forms of wealth management. In this deep dive, we will unveil the specifics behind the Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act. We will find out why the lawmakers behind Senate Bill 21 were so certain that Bitcoin deserved a spot among the state's financial resources. Are we witnessing the dawn of a new trend, where bureaucratic halls and digital currencies form an unlikely alliance? By the end of this exploration, you will not only understand the forces that propelled Texas into this unprecedented move, but also catch a glimpse of how other states are inching toward making similar choices. Expect revelations about how Arizona and New Hampshire paved the way, how the federal government in Washington might respond, and how all of this ties into a national conversation about inflation, economic uncertainty, and the pursuit of financial innovation. You might even discover why some insiders say this is only the beginning of a powerful shift in how public funds are managed. Let us start by stepping back a few years, when the mere notion that a state government would ever adopt Bitcoin sounded like an elaborate joke. But as markets evolved and crypto giants reached multi-trillion-dollar market caps, people started asking, why not store some wealth in assets that seem to be at the forefront of technological progress? A rising number of economists and politicians began hinting that the old strategies for hedging inflation, like gold or other precious metals, might not be the only options. The birth of Senate Bill 21, also known as the Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act, did not occur in a vacuum. It came on the heels of countless discussions about the erosion of purchasing power, the potential benefits of decentralization, and the ways state governments could pivot to meet the demands of a digital age. Politicians from both sides of the aisle weighed in, giving the bill a bipartisan backing that many believed was essential for taking such a major leap of faith. And leap they did. When word came out that Governor Abbott was preparing to sign Senate Bill 21, local news outlets buzzed with excitement and more than a dash of caution. While some saw the move as a cunning strategy to attract tech-savvy businesses and innovative thinkers to Texas, others feared that investing in cryptocurrencies might put public funds at risk. The new law proposes setting aside a separate reserve that the Comptroller of Public Accounts will manage. This means it will not be lumped together with the usual state treasury, potentially shielding it from everyday budgetary shifts or political tug-of-war. Yet here is where it gets interesting. Under the Act, the state can invest in Bitcoin or other digital assets, provided they hold a substantial market capitalization of around $500 billion over an average period of 24 months. Right now, the only cryptocurrency that fits that bill is Bitcoin, with its valuation reportedly soaring beyond $2 trillion. This kind of requirement shows that Texas is not leaping blindly into the world of digital currency. It is, in many ways, a calculated risk. The threshold for eligibility effectively rules out smaller or more volatile altcoins, directing focus onto the digital asset that has, for better or worse, become the gold standard of the crypto universe. But it is not just about inflating the state's financial portfolio. Supporters say it is about ensuring Texas is future-proof. Imagine a scenario where the broader economy hits a rough patch, where inflation spikes and conventional investments take a hit. If Bitcoin is truly a hedge against such volatility, as many crypto advocates have long championed, then the reserve might provide a cushion. Of course, the real question remains, is Bitcoin truly stable enough to deliver on that promise, or is this an experiment in progress? We will examine that tension in more depth as we weave through the different layers of this story. Interestingly, this move arrives just as other states, such as Arizona and New Hampshire, decided to dip their toes into similar waters. Arizona got the conversation started, and New Hampshire jumped in next, demonstrating that the race to adopt a state-run Bitcoin reserve is no longer mere speculation. Now, Texas has joined their ranks, and some experts predict that we might see a wave of additional states follow suit, eager not to be left behind in what they consider the dawn of a new economic era. Indeed, speculation is rife that a competition could brew among states to define themselves as the most forward-thinking in matters of digital assets and financial innovation. Every time one legislature takes the daring step, the pressure mounts on others to do the same. No politician wants to look like they are stuck in the past while their colleagues attract headlines and wealthy innovators. So, how does Senator Cynthia Lummis and her proposed legislation fit into the broader picture? Enter the Boosting Innovation, Technology, and Competitiveness Through Optimized Investment Nationwide Act, commonly called the Bitcoin Act. Lummis has been a vocal advocate for digital currencies in the upper echelons of government, and she has reintroduced legislation that aims to position the United States as a global leader in crypto adoption. Among other proposals, the Bitcoin Act could pave the way for the federal government to acquire roughly 1 million Bitcoin over a 5-year span. Imagine that for a moment, the federal government sitting atop a mountain of digital gold, ready to flex its financial muscle in entirely new ways. Some see this possibility as a game changer that could realign global power structures in the financial sector, while others worry it sets the stage for unprecedented risks if the market fails to behave as crypto optimists predict. All of these maneuvers, from the state-level adoption spearheaded by Texas's Senate Bill 21 to the grander federal ambitions swirling around Washington, trace back to one source: the executive order from President Donald Trump in March, which laid out a plan for a national strategic Bitcoin reserve. According to that order, the United States is authorized to hold both Bitcoin as a primary asset and a separate pool of other digital currencies. The stated goal? To ensure that the nation does not fall behind in an arena that many believe will define both commerce and geopolitical clout in the coming decades. Trump's executive order galvanized a faction of Republican lawmakers who see in digital assets not merely a new investment avenue, but a gateway to streamlined economic growth, reduced transaction costs, and a means to keep up with international competitors who might be racing towards central bank digital currencies. Critics, however, remain skeptical of this headlong rush into crypto waters. Some worry that by formalizing cryptocurrency investments at the state and federal levels, the government might inadvertently legitimize an asset class that has yet to prove its resilience in extreme economic conditions. Furthermore, opponents argue that volatility is not a bug of digital currencies but a key feature. They warn that if the worst-case scenario hits, and Bitcoin loses more than half of its value overnight, as has happened in the past, state reserves could be decimated. Others challenge the premise of calling Bitcoin a hedge against inflation, questioning whether it can maintain its identity as a store of value if an army of speculators charges in. Despite these cautionary voices, the momentum behind adoption seems to be growing, driven by a belief that standing still might be even riskier than venturing into uncharted financial frontiers. And that brings us to a major point of tension. Does this wave of crypto adoption represent the next logical step in governmental finance? Or is it a high-stakes bet fueled by technological hype and political grandstanding? The truth, as always, may lie somewhere in between. While the newly minted Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Bill outlines a structure for safer investment, requiring a massive market capitalization before the asset qualifies, many details remain to be ironed out. For instance, who will have the authority to decide on the exact timing of Bitcoin purchases? Will the state rely on external advisors from the crypto industry? Or will a specialized task force of bureaucrats and economists be established? And what happens if Bitcoin's valuation dips below the $500 billion threshold in the future? These pragmatic questions may seem dull, but they are critical in evaluating whether the measure truly provides stability or is merely layering new uncertainties on top of existing ones. Yet there is no denying the excitement buzzing through the halls of tech communities. Some see this legislation as a signal to entrepreneurs that Texas is open for blockchain business. At a time when major tech hubs are grappling with everything from rising workforce costs to complicated regulatory frameworks, the perceived crypto-friendliness of Texas could be a magnet for startups and established companies alike. The synergy might go beyond mere investment, extending into crypto mining operations and innovative financial services. But let us not forget that building a robust crypto ecosystem requires more than a welcoming handshake from politicians. There are infrastructure requirements, sufficient energy to power mining rigs, tax regulations, cybersecurity measures, all of which must be carefully balanced if Texas intends to become a true frontier for digital currency adoption. If you are captivated by the sheer audacity of this entire endeavor and want to see more stories about where digital assets are reshaping the financial realities we once took for granted, now is the perfect time to hit that like button. Your support could be exactly what we need to keep uncovering these groundbreaking transformations and bringing them to a global audience. Because, let us face it, we are at a crossroads in financial history, and every new law or executive order could reshape the world we live in. So, stay tuned, because there is more to unpack. We have barely scratched the surface of the synergy between state-level ambitions and federal aspirations. There are whispered rumors about new digital currency regulations that might soon emerge, possibly accelerating or deterring the push toward a nationwide crypto adoption strategy. The stakes could not be much higher. If crypto does fulfill its promise as the next big leap in finance, states that are first to the table may reap the benefits of economic growth and tech dominance. Yet, by the same token, the risk remains that a state like Texas could find itself holding on to a massive trove of Bitcoin precisely when the market experiences a downturn. Remember, the crypto domain, though it has matured, is still subject to rapid price fluctuations that can occur without warning, driven by everything from social media hype to global regulatory changes. A single tweet from a prominent figure has historically caused drastic changes in Bitcoin's price, leaving both enthusiasts and skeptics anxious about the day when government bodies risk budget losses over decisions made long before market jitters set in. Is that a gamble that taxpayers are willing to take? Perhaps for some, the promise of being on the cutting edge outweighs the potential pitfalls. Others, however, insist that more checks and balances are essential to ensure prudent management of these digital coffers. Now that Governor Abbott's signature has made the Texas Strategic Bitcoin Reserve Act a reality, the countdown begins to see how this law will materialize in practice. Behind closed doors, financial experts are already conducting evaluations on what percentage of the reserve should be allocated to digital assets and how best to manage the custody of these tokens. Meanwhile, the rest of the nation, and indeed the rest of the world, watches, eager to witness whether the grand experiment of blending cryptocurrency with state treasury practices will deliver the promised rewards or lay bare the pitfalls. Either way, it is the kind of real-world development that ensures the crypto story remains riveting, and as new chapters are written, we will be right here to document every twist and turn. If you are as eager as I am to follow the saga and see whether Texas's confidence in Bitcoin sets a historic benchmark for governmental finance, do not forget to subscribe. By joining us, you will never miss an update on the shifting tides of innovation, regulation, and the evolving relationship between technology and governance. The debate on the future of financial governance is far from settled, and Texas's confident stride into Bitcoin territory marks only the beginning of what might blossom into a larger national conversation. As more eyes turn to the Lone Star State for clues on how to navigate the interplay between old-school politics and cutting-edge technology, the narrative is poised to evolve in compelling ways. Will this strategic Bitcoin reserve become a blueprint for others to follow, or will unforeseen challenges force a rethinking of the entire concept? The next chapter in this ongoing saga is waiting to unfold.